Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome to the channel. Sorry I have not made a video in a while, and that's for a very good reason. Two things. I've been wrapping up my record, the Brother Theodore project, that's done now, finished mastering, comes out very, very soon. It is not a bass record, although there's some fine bass playing on the record, if I say so myself. Yeah, so been kind of putting my head in artist mode that way, and then it's the end of the school year, so a lot of you guys know that I teach, so been wrapping up concerts and graduation coming, all that stuff. Anyway, in this video, I want to make this specifically for my young homie Brandon Farmer, fantastic Bay Area drummer who is exploring bass a little bit, and I feel like if I could, I was showing him something at a gig last night, and I'm sure he'll find benefit, and I'm hoping that somebody else like yourself will find benefit in it as well. So I'm gonna refer to this as thumping and plucking. I'm gonna go back to the old school original way of saying that because if the name suggests thumping as opposed to slapping, right? We were using the bass line for Chameleon as a vehicle for this. So this is my brand new Marco bass. Don't trip that there aren't any fret markers. I'll tell you, I'll tell you where I am. So I'm gonna start on G. Okay, going up to B flat. So that's the first thing, the first order of business that we're gonna look at, not this. The first thing is when I do this, okay, I'm going up chromatically from the G. Notice I'm not putting a lot of emphasis on the thumb. I'm gonna get to that in a second, but you want to take a piece of repertoire, this standard kind of funk stuff, and use it to build up your language, right, in your facility. So there's two ways you can do that. Like that. When I do that, these three fingers I'm holding the neck just very lightly, okay? They're sort of muting every other string, okay? And I'm using my first finger to play the notes. Now, in terms of notes, what I was telling Brandon last night, especially because he's a drummer, I told him, I said, if you are trying to get this thing together and you think more about the bass as a percussive instrument as opposed to a string instrument and not think about the notes so much, you'll have a better time. Not that the notes aren't important. Of course they're important. So, going up to B flat. So I think it's a B flat 7. And then to E flat. All right, that's gonna be the next chord. We'll get there in a second. So that's one way of doing it. Or you can do like this. So that's one finger per fret. But notice, see my hand compresses. Okay, so I'm not trying to maintain that 4 fret spread like that. Okay, that's the first thing. So if I do it this way, then I can just come up to the minor, the flat 7, and play. I'm sorry, man. I'm in this space. Room is very, very live, and got I have my two 12s hooked up there. So I'm sorry. I know it's probably pretty boomy, but I'm hoping you can get the thing. Sorry. So if I use just my first finger, just come right there to that octave shape. So the first thing we do, first kind of concept we have is chromatic notes. The next thing we have is a box pattern. If you were to draw an outline around that hand shape, it would kind of look like a box. So let's go to the next chord. I'm going to talk about the thumb in a second. So that's 1 of that E flat, 5, and the flat 7. If I did it the other way, 1 finger per fret, it's just different, right? But the additional, I don't really want to call it a challenge, I'll call it a step. The additional step you have to take is, you got to switch your hand, which is not a big deal. When you get to this one though, so the first time, shift with the first finger, pretty easy, whatever. This one, you gotta move your whole hand and get your pinky down on that fifth. So usually when I'm playing something like this, my fingers kind of fall where they need to fall. All right, so now let's talk about the thumb. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. If you notice, there's taking out all the notes. So Brandon, take out all the notes, right? There's your kick drum, right? Where you go. When my thumb comes down near that fret, which is a threat to some people, I guess. When it comes down by that fret, you're letting the bass do the work, letting the pickups and the amp and all that doing the work. Not like smacking that crap out of the bass in order for the sound to come out. So let's keep that in mind. I'm gonna put my hand in all the positions, but I'm gonna mute the notes and just really think percussive. So. Introduced the pluck into it, okay? So what I was telling Brandon, and Brandon, I want to speak to you personally, but what I was saying about, if I asked you to do that on your drum set, boom, 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 you would have absolutely no problem. So now we just got to put that same thinking into this. It's different, different limbs, obviously, but the concept is still the same. Super dead, or as dead as I can get it, right? So, you see what I'm saying? We're thinking about the thumb in the same way that you would think about your beater hitting your bass drum. Okay? So now I'm gonna introduce a pluck. And there's a couple of different ways that I'm doing this, pitting this octave. So I'll stay on the first chord for a second and show you a couple of different ideas about how you can approach that. So the first thing I did all thumbs. I'm trying to be mindful of putting a pluck in. I don't want to put any plucks in. I'm also playing around with the note length as well. So now I'm gonna add a pluck to that. I can pluck it twice. Super straight. But watch this. Oh, another way I could do that. So I thumped and plucked the same string. Okay? We were talking about playing straight. There's a great Sheila E. video when she's talking about funk. She's talking about playing a straight beat. Boom, pat, boom, pat, boom, Pat initially starts putting in the ghost notes. You know what I mean? If you're wherever you are in your spectrum of playing bass or whatever, check out drummers and pay attention to the snare and the differences between a straight snare hit and then the ghost notes in between. That's the concept that we're gonna bring now. So. I wouldn't play all of that stuff. That don't even sound right. So keeping it straight. Anyway, that's a simple bit of kind of classic repertoire. For those who don't know, I don't know if I said it in the beginning. It's Chameleon, Herbie Hancock, pretty, standard jazz funk tune. So. Whew, long church yesterday, long drive to Calistoga, long great gig with Brandon. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you find this helpful. I really hope that you dig it, you dug it, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon as well, so that you can know when the next video comes out. I try to make my videos pretty personal and practical. And so, I love this instrument, and I love seeing people discover and grow and all that, and it helps me do the same. So, on that note, I'm actually recording this on Memorial Day, so some of you guys are out, paying homage to fallen heroes that have protected this country. Some of you guys are just barbecuing. Some of you guys are doing both. But whatever you're doing, I hope that you're doing it safely and wisely and being good to one another. So I will see you in the next video. Peace. 2 fingers.